Welcome to
The Sky Podcast.
Exclusive on Spotify.
The more we get together, the more we get together, the
Happier are we?
Ano din na?
How many times have you promised not to sing on the podcast?
I didn't promise.
I promised. Yes, love.
What? What's on your mind?
What's on my mind? You are on my mind.
I know. I'm always on your mind.
What's on my mind is, grabe, hindi mo lang siya nagsusuklay before.
Yung,
Before tayo
I woke up
nag-podcast.
like this and I go to bed like this.
You are just like this all the time, in short.
I'm just like this. A few days ago, we were talking with yung pinsan ko. Or anak ng pinsan ko.
Star of the show kasi ang dami niyang
Ang dami niya mga
dami niyang
suggestion na
tanong.
parang, like, he listens to this podcast a lot. So parang sabi niya, can you cover this topic? And parang we find it interesting na, nga no, these are things that we went through and kids his generation. Ang tanda ng ano.
Yung barkada niya, lagi daw tinatanong sa kanya, like,
Yeah.
how do you deal with this? Or how do Slater and Chris deal with this situation? Kasi Chinese din daw tayo. So, basically, yung question niya is,
Comes to like being part of a Chinese family.
Yes.
All these, well,
Chinoy family.
Chinoy family na maraming mga rules that are very much Chinoy.
Yeah. It's funny because I first heard the term Great Wall.
The
when
Great
it comes
Wall of
to,
China?
Yeah, when it comes to dating, my Great Wall. I heard that when I was in Manila na. I haven't, parang sa Cebu wala masyado, no?
Maybe it's a stronger cultural thing in Manila. I'm not sure because sa akin, yung pagka-Chinese namin, we grew up in the province, mas chill, pero meron pa rin, definitely meron pa rin. But Chinoys generally siguro you have to have a boyfriend, girlfriend.
Basically, what a Great Wall is in the dating world daw is if you're not Chinese, to date someone who is Chinese, you have to climb the Great Wall because there are so many rules that you kind of have to get behind. Like
Sometimes ang hirap pa nga
sometimes
talaga.
ang hirap.
Like,
Kaya nga Great Wall, like, are you sure you're gonna date that girl? May Great Wall yan. Ganon. It's funny because growing up here in Cebu, we've never heard of it, but in Manila, it's so common, and every time somebody
ang
says
dami
it,
dito. Ang dami dito.
no, I mean
pero
just
mas
the
malala
term.
siguro.
Just
Yeah,
the term Great Wall.
Okay.
It's so common in Manila na, Great Wall yan. And I remember the first time I heard it. Ano yun? Yun na nga. Like, if you are not Chinese, then how will you get along with his parents because they only speak Chinese? Or
Were you always told to date Chinese?
me, when I was younger, I was told it was preferred. Yeah, preferred. Kasi there is less of a cultural difference. And feeling ko, there's a slight, I don't want to say racism.
No,
but
it's not. It's not
racism.
It's a
It's just
cultural
like
difference.
just date someone that's one of us, so it's easier. Parang ganon.
Yes. I don't know. Baka may ibang Chinese I'm just imagining here. I can't even put like kung sino ba talaga. Baka merong dapat Chinese talaga na
Madami
because-
tayong friends na ganon.
Pero to the point where it's racist na. Sa akin, like, it's more of like, it's just easier because Chinese.
I remember I had certain friends before who asked me like, are you allowed to date your ex-boyfriend? He's only 50% Chinese. He's only 25% Chinese. Pwede ba yun sa family mo? And in my head, I'm like, really? Ethnicity matters so much? Your ancestry matters so much? But it does in certain cases, in some families.
Yes.
Kailangan 100% pure Chinese. May ganon.
Yeah. Sa'yo, it wasn't a big deal. Have you ever
Or
dated
maybe
someone?
it was. I don't know because I'm the bunso. So parang dead man nila sa akin.
But have you ever dated someone who wasn't Chinese?
Yeah. Both my exes aren't Chinese.
And kumusta?
Accepted naman. I don't know.
So
But
there
I
wasn't-
I remember vaguely that when my brother, who's like 10 years older than me, dated someone who isn't Chinese,
Yes.
parang big deal siya. So maybe it also developed through the times. No? Like now it's more okay. Before it was more strict and traditional.
Maybe from our perspective, but there's still the traditional Chinese pa rin. Like our friend from Manila who married a white guy.
Yes.
And then, di ba parang mahirap din sa kanila because there were all these, and there's a lot of differences kasi I get why there would be the Great Wall because there are a lot of cultural differences.
Super.
Like Chinese would be very much into, there's a certain way of treating money.
Yeah.
Versus
This is obviously
others.
generally speaking.
Yes, generally speaking. And meron ding, for example, you go to a family gathering and parang hindi ka sanay hearing Chinese or 'di ba mga older generations natin, they speak Chinese when you
When I first started dating you and I went to your family for dinner,
Yes.
I couldn't understand a word that you guys were saying.
Yes.
And I remember that, and I'm Chinese, but I just don't know how to speak it so well. So imagine,
straight kasi sa kanila, so wala kang mga context clues.
yeah, no context clues. Because in my family, like it's just like I like to say fake Chinese because they just speak Chinese for pronouns and like. But the verbs, the actual sentence structure, it's all like English. So you can kind of get what they're saying. But with your family, it was pure Chinese. And I remember just like being so lost. Parang natulala na ako, just staring into space and eating my food. And then you would have to like elbow me like, "Huy, they're talking to you."
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So I can imagine if wala ka talagang alam sa Chinese language.
Yes.
It would be so hard.
Oh, it's very hard. And then, meron pa mga things like tinghun. Or
Yeah.
the Chinese traditions when before you get married, you have to do this. Like even me as a Chinese, paminsan, really? We still have to do that?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is so old already.
Yung before we got married, we had to send a bunch of dowry stuff to your house.
And you have
but
to
I
walk
couldn't
backwards,
be there.
may mga ganyan.
I couldn't be there. It had to be my brother and some cousin who's Year of the Dragon or whatever to bring all of these gifts with Chinese double happiness stickers on them, red ribbons.
Yes.
And then somebody had to roll on the bed who was Year of the Dragon.
Yes.
Right? All of these funny
May mga-
traditions.
Meron pang paminsan mga consultant kasi you can't remember everything and there's
Exactly.
just too much.
And there's books.
Oo.
You can buy it in Binondo. My mom bought one.
Oo. Meron ganyan for weddings. There's a ganyan for funeral. There's ganyan for childbirth.
Oh, dude, speaking of funerals, I remember when my grandmother passed away, we hired crying ladies.
Yes. I don't know if sa Philippines, I don't know. Is it just Chinese things? Or
I don't know, but I was so shocked because I was still in college and I remember flying home for the funeral. And then there were just a bunch of ladies that I've never met in my life who didn't know my grandmother. And they were just crying and like really loudly. So apparently it's part of tradition, no?
Yes. And yun yung sinasabi ko na that's part of also baka na gustong i-perpetuate ng mga mas matanda sa atin, yung mga our elders. Gusto nilang Chinese para mapatuloy yung tradition, partly. Or baka hindi maintindihan ng partner mo na, oh, you have to do this. Or hindi i-respect, which sometimes happen.
Yes.
So, baka yun yung ano. Like, ako, I totally understand na I'm very much against it. Ay, hindi naman against it. Pero parang, I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
But, I understand the thing about keeping the tradition alive.
Yeah. Actually, to me...
It's more of a respect thing.
Yeah. To me, when we were getting married, that's kind of when all of these traditions, parang nashook ako or like nagulat na lang ako na ang dami palang traditions talaga. Because I thought that the only Chinese tradition there was to wear red during birthdays. Akala ko yun lang. Pero parang ang dami pala talagang ceremonies. And to be honest, it was so tiring to do it all, but I'm glad we did it. And it was fun.
It was fun,
back.
especially like looking at the vlog
Yeah, I'm like,
when it
hey,
was
this is so
oh,
fun.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, like we're respecting the tradition.
Yeah, and not just that, like it's part of our culture, you know. It's part of who we are, and it's nice to keep these things alive. Like it's for me, it's so cool na napaka flavorful ng part of our lives na yun. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if we just did a normal wedding, then that's the only memory that we would have.
Yes. The ceremonies make it more of a highlight.
Yeah, and it was fun. Like bonding with my mom, even though we fought a lot because, you know,
Kailangan ng mga daming itlog.
gusto ni
lagyan ng
mami,
sticker.
red na red talaga yung backdrop. Ako naman, ayoko ng red kasi pag may camera, the cast on your skin when the backdrop is
Naisip
red
ko pa
or
yun,
when the table is red, pangit yung skin tone mo. Sabi ko, mami, pwede bang pink na lang? Kaya naging pink yung backdrop natin. You laugh at me now, but all of the videographers and photographers that we hired
They thank
were
you
so
for it.
thankful. Yeah, they were telling me, thank God it's not red. It's so hard to edit pag red. I'm like, got you.
A lot of it we respect, and a lot of it, paminsan, like even us as Chinese, we feel like it's over the top na. Like for example, when you were doing the get lai thing,
Oh, I didn't do the get lie thing.
get lai thing, just to, I don't know if like most people are familiar with it.
Yeah.
It may seem normal to us, but for a lot of our listeners, baka hindi.
Yeah, so get lie is basically called Chinese confinement. It's a 1-month confinement after you give birth, where the mom is not allowed to drink anything cold. She's not allowed to take a shower. She's not allowed to even wash her hands.
Yes.
And she's only allowed to eat super fatty, warming foods like duck or chocolate or basta yung super fatty foods na gano'n. Nothing cold. Bawal yung cold water, juice,
Yes.
soda, ganon.
It's like the whole point is when you give birth, parang the heat,
Yeah.
the good heat from your body escapes. Parang
Right.
ganyan. So like you want it to come back.
It's like taking care of the mother for a whole month. Parang the mom is allowed to really re-nourish her body because
Yes.
she's lost so much when she, delivered her child.
Yes.
Something like that.
Pero I don't know if kaya mo 1 month of not showering.
It's so difficult for me because all of the get life food is like meat and I don't eat meat.
And there's like
And
a
then-
special tea that you drink.
But I drank that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, when I gave birth, it was pandemic. So parang, hindi ko kayang hindi mag-wash hands. Galing akong hospital. Hindi ko kayang hindi maligo. Diba?
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of people swear by it, And I remember,
What's the whole point in it? Like,
it's to really help the mom. Like, in the long run daw, the mom is better off doing it health-wise. Kasi
Yeah.
parang your body physically, it's harder for you to digest food that's cold. It takes more energy for your body to
is it a science or are you talking about the get
kuno,
life thing?
but I didn't research it.
okay.
Pero kuno, science
Daw.
kuno. If you keep consuming all these warm things lang, you're just making it easier for your body so that your body can kind of concentrate on healing itself, something
Yeah.
like that. So I remember that before I got married to you, when we talk about giving birth or whatever, my mom would always tell me to do the get lie. And I would always say, I'm never going to do that. That's so annoying. How backwards of you. That's tradition. There's no science. Parang, how can I not shower for a month? That's crazy.
Yeah.
But then, because I keep watching all of these YouTube videos about get lie and people try and get lie from different cultures, it also kind of helped open my mind na, hey, this isn't just, word of mouth or hearsay or things that have been passed on from my grandmother with no scientific backing. This get lie thing is not only in Chinese tradition, but it's in Korean tradition, Japanese tradition. People in Hong Kong are doing it, in Taiwan, in Bangkok. A lot of people are doing it all over the world, some different form of it, but basically the same lang about heat and cold and everything. So parang because of the internet, my mind is so open now na parang, hey, it's fun pala to do these things. In the same way with like our tinghon, our Chinese engagement, or the rolling of the bed thing. Like, because of the internet and because like, to me, it was like, hey, this is cool. This is content. I can
Yeah.
film it. But now that I keep watching it, hey, it's so fun to be able to be part of a process that's like this. Yeah.
Sa akin kasi paminsan, because of my very engineer mind, paminsan like parang, give me facts, give me science, give me research, parang ganyan. So it takes a certain leap of faith from my end. Hindi naman na leap of faith, parang mas effort lang siya to actually do these things. But if you look at it from a perspective of respect, you look at it from, okay, I'm doing this because this is the tradition that my mom or my grandfather, whoever, wants me to respect. So, parang ganyan na lang, gawin mo na lang.
Yeah.
It's more of that.
But you know what? I used to think kasi it was uncool to do these things growing up. Parang, oh, this is so lame. I have to do this. Did you ever feel that?
Yes.
Growing up, no,
Yes.
parang, oh, I don't want to do this. It's so
Oh, this is
embarrassing.
So uncool.
Cringe. Parang,
Pero it's good na ngayon, parang
if you guys want to hear the full episode, you can.
check us out on Spotify.
Spotify.
It's free, guys. It's free.
See you there.
SKYPODCAST.
SKYPODCAST.